Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Boruto anime review. This one's going to be for episode 2, which is called The Hokage's Son, and it continues for me the very, very solid start to this new Boruto anime. I am really, really enjoying this. I think it's a interesting starting point. I do still think there's a little bit of weirdness around just the fact that there's so many different start points for Boruto as a new story, and that introduced in the movie. Now we're kind of continuing things on in the manga, past the movie, and then this is the start before all that. And so it's kind of weird how Denki and Iwabe don't actually exist really in the manga going forward, and they weren't in the movie. Yet they seem to be a big focus of the time in the academy here. So unless they're going to do something and just say that okay, this is very much school stuff that happens here. Nothing is crazy massive that happens in the academy. And then it's the movie that really catapults Boruto into the bigger things. And then where we go from here is where the huge plot stuff kind of kicks off. So there's some confusion around that, in that you would think if this was the only, if this was the second, if you only watched this Boruto anime, these first 2 episodes, you would almost think that they're setting up Iwabe as to be basically the Sasuke to Boruto's Naruto. But at the same time, aspects of him feel okay, he's going to be a somewhat of a rival character, but not really as such. But still, I enjoyed setting up this rivalry, and it really allowed us, I think, Boruto's kind of base character traits to kind of come out, in that he's just actually really nice to people when he comes in. He's kind of saying hi to everyone. He doesn't mind who he eats with. He's not judging anyone in particular. He's doing his best. He's not the most skilled in the class, but he's right up there. He's basically second skilled in the class after Iwabe, but Iwabe's older, and I actually like that, because it created this interesting dynamic of okay, so you have someone who's a bigger physical threat than Boruto, and in their fight you can see that he has the experience advantage over Boruto, but Boruto as a kind of person, as a character, really is allowed to, in that fight, kind of showcase himself to the rest of the class as someone who will stand up for his friends and show their kind of better qualities. In that, the plot of this episode is that Inojin and Iwabe and some others are basically oh, Boruto, you're back. You only got 2 weeks suspension when everyone else would have got crazy punishments because you're the son of the Hokage, basically, that you got preferential treatment. And we know from the Boruto movie that, in part, a lot of the reason why Boruto isn't so hot on his father is because, yes, Naruto's job keeps him away from home a lot and interacting all that much, but it's also, I think, things like this, that because he has such a famous father, there is this expectation on him that he has to be someone that he's perhaps not, and just the expectation that oh, you have all this stuff because you're the Hokage's son. Whereas I actually think they did a really good job at kind of just highlighting that yes, there are definitely aspects of Boruto that are similar to Naruto, but they are still different characters here, in that Boruto is actually skilled, whereas Naruto definitely had the huge thing of just hard work got him to where he is. But Boruto seems like a kind of Sasuke level almost character at this stage, in terms of his skill early on in the academy. I think we'll probably ultimately get it revealed that it's probably just a little bit below a Sasuke, but still one of the more skilled people within his class. And just definitely proving himself to everyone here, especially Inojin. I like the focus on him, even though ultimately it was just he made the same assumptions that Iwabe did, and then during the fight realized that he was wrong, and then kind of, I suppose in the end, realized that no, Boruto's actually a good guy, basically. So I like that as subtle development for Inojin, who was kind of acting a little bit like early Sai, who was just making the kind of barbed comments the entire time, not really thinking everything through. And then in the end realizing that he was out of line saying what he was saying. The other thing I thought was interesting was that they kind of confirmed here that Sarada knows Boruto because their parents are friends, and that's more or less how most of the kind of kids of the Naruto characters know each other. With a couple of them clearly being actually like close friends, and the others just knowing like of each other, that they're not all just by default this close knit group of friends because they happen to have parents who were all friends. That Sarada, I don't get the impression that like Sarada and Boruto are like amazingly close right now. That they like super crazy know each other. They obviously know each other to a degree. They haven't really interacted all that much just yet in the series, but I definitely don't get the impression that they're like really really close friends right now. Or at the very least, Sarada is just kind of projecting the attitude that she doesn't know him as well as she perhaps does. In that, like, Cho was very much like can see that, you know, throughout the episode, Sarada was definitely concerned for Boruto and kind of getting behind him like everyone else was. So, you know, the subtle setup of the fact that Sarada kind of does actually like Boruto, I definitely appreciate that. So there's that. We also get introduced to, I don't know if we got her name, but basically the class rep character. She doesn't seem to have like ninja skills as such, or we don't know what they are at the very least just yet, but she's the class rep, and we just see her. She seems to also somewhat like Boruto, but I assume that will be very much just a kind of crush thing. We're in a school setting, of course we're going to get a little bit of drama, stuff like that. The other thing, Iwabe, introduced here as the kind of threat of this episode, causing the fight. A guy who focuses completely on ninjutsu and nothing on the more academic, actual like learning, like knowledge kind of side of things. In that they do confirm at the start of this episode that the Ninja Academy has kind of morphed to meet modern times. But yes, still teaching ninjutsu and the ninja art, but also having a huge focus on like teaching them like the different subjects needed for like if they don't want to be a ninja. So that's just kind of what they're presenting here. That like in the past it was just a ninja academy that also happened to have a couple of other subjects. Now it's actually like one of the subjects is being a ninja, and you can do that if you want to keep the history of the village alive. And so Iwabe is all for like, I wish things were the same way they were back in Naruto's time, where like it wasn't all about the test scores. And I did like that in the middle of the fight, you just had Boruto point that out, that like, you're blaming all of this on everyone and making it out that you're the victim in all of this, when you are just really bad at studying, aren't you? And it was true. And he got under Iwabe's skin and, forced him to break his own rule that he set for the fight, that he wouldn't use his weapon, which seems to be revealed to be something that he channels like Earth style through, to use basically Earth's melee weapons, which seems cool to me as his kind of like powerhouse technique, as a kind of taijutsu fighter primarily who uses his ninjutsu to kind of augment like his taijutsu techniques, and that he's going to use weaponry, like earth-based weaponry. Like, have we ever really had a character like that before? Because like our taijutsu characters up to now have very much been like Guy and Lee, who just kick, and then their techniques occasionally add like an element to it, but it's not really them using ninjutsu. So the idea here of like taijutsu specialists who will like actually augment their taijutsu with like earth style or whatever seems really cool to me. But again, I have a feeling like he'll be there and thereabouts in terms of like Boruto's kind of friend group, like Denki, now Iwabe. But I don't get the impression that he's going to be like huge. Like he's going to be Boruto's rival. They'll probably fight again once Boruto's kind of skilled up a little bit more. He's had more time in the academy, and they'll have a fight where Iwabe's actually using the hammer. But I'm not sure if we'll really get the important stuff like we maybe expect with him. But next episode looks to be focused at least somewhat on Metal Lee, who, as far as I'm aware, is definitely one of the more mysterious of the like Naruto characters' children, in that we don't know who his mother is, which would be interesting if we got that reveal next episode. And then he fought a little bit in the Boruto movie, but like we don't really know all that much about him in terms of how he like his how similar he is to Lee or what. So that should be really fun to see next episode, to see exactly what they do with him. And yeah, just bringing the review to a close, I continue to enjoy the episode. Some people are saying the animation quality wasn't as good as the first episode, that they really wanted to start it off really big and now it's not as good. I could sort of tell, but I like the animation style of the show. I think it's pretty solid. So I'm not too concerned about the quality being like really low already or anything like that. But yeah, I like what I saw here, you know, and then obviously Shino is one of our teachers here. We see a little bit of Anko, you know, playing the Iruka role here. So I like this. It's definitely, I think, separating itself from early original Naruto, and in that all the characters, even though they have elements of their parents, still feel very unique. It still feels new, that this is the next generation. We're in a different era of ninjas where like all the people within the class, yes, are learning ninjutsu, but not every single one of them kind of is going to end up as a ninja. It's just that they happen to live in this village, so learning to be what a ninja is part of kind of the school stuff there. But like a lot of those characters, I feel like are just going to get probably normal jobs after this, and I think that's an interesting dynamic as well. That like we could see characters, you know, who are just super smart, not good at the ninjutsu, and then vice versa with Iwabe. And then I suppose Denki, as like our, you know, character introduced in the first episode, doesn't even know what chakra is. I think, you know, potentially an arc over the course of this opening arc or whatever they do with Denki is going to be revealing if he can control chakra, if he has like a good any sense of control over it, or what. Can he ever actually use ninjutsu? But yeah, that's been the review. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on the episode as well as my review here. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.